Are you dreaming of becoming an entrepreneur, but you're not sure where or how to start? At Entrepreneurs Academy 101, our online program will guide you step by step on how to start and grow your own business. We offer courses such as how to write a business plan, how to create a budget, and so much more. Our online training program is designed for you to learn at your own pace, and there's no set order to complete this program. Because our academy is online, you have the choice to learn with a group, with friends, or individually. Upon completion of the entire curriculum, you will receive a certificate of achievement to acknowledge that you have completed the training needed to become a successful entrepreneur. So enroll today to design the life that you love. Contact your entrepreneur coach, Brenda Myers, at 601-672-0695 or visit our website at www.entrepreneursacademy101.com for more information.
And good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to We Believe Digital Studios in Jackson, Mississippi for the Newsbreak Show. Wednesdays and Fridays from noon to 12:30. We're glad you're joining us. We've got a pretty full list of stories going on. We want to share with you activities in this in this state of ours, in this county and city of Jackson. But actually, let me start farther out first, and that is the death toll is now risen for those tremendous earthquakes in Syria and Turkey. Now over 41,000 deaths. Enormous concern. Major helping organizations, Red Cross, World Kitchen, et cetera, doing whatever they can do to help people because it's it's a really cold season over there, and the people that no longer have homes and outside exposure is lethal, and hunger is lethal with so much destruction in that area. So we want to be sure to keep them in our prayers. On the national front, earlier this morning, the 5 officers, Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, Emmett Martin III, Desmond Mills Jr., and Justin Smith, pleaded not guilty to the charges in the devastating murder of 29-year-old Tyree Nichols in Memphis in January. It's a how you get your brain wrapped around that, and thank goodness that there was video released. It was very clear to everyone. So they pleaded not guilty. In addition to the pleading not guilty to the second degree murder, they also pleaded not guilty to aggravated assault, aggravated kidnapping, official misconduct, and official oppression in Shelby County Criminal Court earlier this morning. So we'll have to see how all that goes out. Just a horrific incident that I don't think any of us are going to forget anytime soon. And obviously, our sympathies go out to the family involved, and really to all the families. Just horrific. Inside Mississippi, just a little bit south of Memphis, so many things going on that just baffle any kind of logic, and it seemed like there's so many people that want to say that things are changing here, and I guess on some metrics there have been changes, and yet there continues to be so much racism and oppression, in the broad light of day. And it takes so many different forms, and it's just so hard to behold. Yesterday, the FBI Jackson Field office announced an opening of a federal civil rights investigation. on January 24th, a young man, Mr. Jenkins, and another victim, Eddie Terrell Parker, 35 years old. Jenkins is 24. They were at a home in Braxton, Mississippi, where Parker lives, and with the property owner, when 6 white, these are black men, and 6 white Rankin County deputies conducting a drug operation raided the house. Well, there was no drug operation, and they just got it wrong. But they shot at these men. One man was shot in the mouth and later had to have his tongue removed. So he gets to spend his life because somebody got their information wrong. And you notice the black-white thing, somebody gets their information wrong, and now that man got to eat out of tubes for the rest of his life. Not doing nothing wrong, sitting in a house over there talking to his friend, So I think I took this piece from WJTV report, the FBI Jackson Field Office, the U.S. Department of Justice Civil Rights Division, and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Mississippi opened a federal civil rights investigation into a color of law incident in the Rankin County Sheriff's Office. And actually that came from a statement from the FBI. But there was torture involved. There's a report of waterboarding. Rankin County Sheriff deputies waterboarding people? Jeez, Mississippi is still burning when you have things like that going on, when you don't have basic respect, for people. It's obvious if you get in there, you break down a door or whatever, you get in there and you see that nothing's going on. Why do you got to be shooting at people? Why are you going to be torturing people? Why are you going to be altering the rest of people's lives because, you got something twisted? But that's that white superiority and entrenched in the law enforcement, That's why we see here in Jackson, Mississippi, we have these Capitol Police and it's like the Wild Wild West, You never see one of them with the lights blare and the sirens going. You see 3 or 4 of them in a row. It's like, one right after another, 25 yards apart. It's what in the world is going on? What you so scared of, And just very heavy-handed. And more information is coming out about that. And but the problem is you got investigations going on. So when the Capitol Police gets investigated, they get investigated by the Mississippi Bureau of the MBI, Mississippi Bureau of Investigation, and then you have the same white man, Sean Tyndall, is in charge of both of those agencies. So isn't that convenient? So just so much oppression, so much sadness that goes on here. You just don't know where to begin, and I think another topic, and another topic that really is a reminder. Anna Wolf, this just amazing, beautiful young investigative reporter. I had the pleasure to meet her some months ago at a function, she had actually stayed behind to meet me because it was a forum and there was a lot of softball questions going on with the state auditor, Shadrach White, and I got a chance to get the last question in, and I can assure you it wasn't a softball question, and the room full of folks and I leaned in and I asked the state auditor, you're really, really good at all these reports you do, and we appreciate that. They're very comprehensive. You got all these reports. You're clawing back money that's been embezzled and so forth. But, what I want to know is when can we expect a report from you on the cost of the backwardness in Mississippi, the backward thinking that makes Mississippi last in everything. When are you going to do a report on the racist attitudes that are prevalent here, the oppression that goes on here, and the cost that we bear for that backwardness, for that backward thinking? And Miss Wolf was very taken by that and waited behind to meet me, and we had a chance to visit for a while and so forth and stay in touch now. Just a dynamic, young, dedicated woman. Could be doing what she's doing anywhere probably in the world, and yet here she is in Jackson, Mississippi, working with the Mississippi Today. She reminds us today it's now been 3 years since the TANF scandal broke. The estimates vary. 1 minute, we first saw 69 million, 74 million, 86 million, 94 million, $100 million. You keep seeing the different numbers involved, but enormous amount of money, gift money from the federal government. And, it's an interesting thing because it seems like the Republican-dominated legislature in Mississippi, they're always talking about freedom. They're always talking about individual rights, and they're always talking about law and order, and and yet they steal, they steal this money that comes directly from the federal government to help the poorest families in Mississippi, the poorest state in the whole nation, and they stealing the money. And they not only do they not give the money where it's needed, some abysmal small percentages are actually given to people to help, but they try and create these programs, but then these programs become shell companies essentially for taken, just more and more taken. And, Miss Wolf reminds us today that it's been 3 years since this broke, and no one in Republican leadership, not the trio, Reeves, Hosemann, or Philip Gunn, the speaker, not one of them or any of the Republican legislators have held a hearing. Imagine $100 million pilfered, and they don't hold a hearing on it. The Democrats have started holding hearings. They've had 2 so far. There's another one planned for next month. But the Republicans, not one word out. It's just like they ignore, they pretend that it didn't happen or something like that. So just really, really sad, and I just want to read to you just a little bit of her column for today that came out today. In the 3 years following the arrests in the largest public fraud scandal in state history, the agency led by Governor Tate Reeves has never released a full accounting of its current welfare expenditures. When you get caught stealing, it seemed like, they got a new director installed over there, appointed, always appointed. And it seemed like they would want to put a page up on their webs, the DHS website or something, and let people know, hey, here's the sub-grantees that we're working with right now. Here's the folks that are, that we are entrusting. This is their company names, et cetera, but they don't do that here. They just keep everything in the dark as much as possible. And she points out that here we are now, lawmakers in their 7th week of the legislative session, haven't taken one action to address the logjam. Instead, they've killed at least 11 bills aimed at improving administration of the agency and its funds, as well as at least 5 amendments offered to do the same on the floors of both chambers. Killed 11 bills. They just want to pull the wool over everybody's eyes and pretend like this didn't happen. But the world knows about this situation, and media outlets like this one and the Mississippi Today, nobody's going to stop talking about this. This is real stuff. It's devastating the lives of families of people in Mississippi. Yesterday there was amendments made to knock down in the House the potential for Medicaid expansion. Again, just devastating to poor people. These folks, they want to focus on crime, but they do not want to focus on the underlying causes of the crime. So that's what we're left with. And, Mississippi is still burning, and it's burning because of lack of basic regard for our fellow man. And these people are still keeping track of skin color. And that's what their decisions emanate from that. And we'll get back into it a little more. We're coming up on our break here. And we'll be right back with you in a couple minutes and pick this up and move the needle a little further on these stories. Thank you so much for joining us. Be right back.
The Mississippi Link is an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, keepers of the knowledge for people who speak the truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippiLink.com and click on Home Delivery.
And welcome back to News Break. We're glad to have you here. We Believe Digital Studios in downtown Jackson or on Livingston Road. We do all kinds of things over here in the community. We've got a crackerjack team of energetic, dedicated staff members. And, we'll cut commercials for your campaigns. We will, see to it that you can get graphics made, do podcast shows, whatever's going on, any kind of filming, commercials, marketing, any type of that things whatsoever. We want to help you with that. Place those ads, different outlets, et cetera, et cetera. We work with other companies in partnership with other companies so that whatever you bring to us as your needs, we're going to find the right combination of people, and we're going to get that done for you and give you a top quality product. So that's We Believe Digital Studios, WeBelieveDigital.com. The website is being updated. The owner here is, it's not possible to satisfy him. Just when you think you're onto something, he'll think of something else that can be improved. And what a great way to be, because you're always trying to be at the very best. Excellence is his standard. And so that's what's going on here at We Believe Digital. But back to these Newsbreak discussion topics, you hear everybody wants to talk about the crime in Jackson. Our leader, sometimes I call him, our governor, AKA, it's a great day to be in Hattiesburg. It's also, as always, a great day to not be in Jackson. Imagine a governor saying that about his own capital city. But that's what you're dealing with. That level of just ignorance and blatant disregard for this city. And, it doesn't take you long to figure out what that's all about. And what that's all about is, the white people, white flight occurred here in different stages, different frequency, different amounts of people at different times. And next thing you know, Jackson is an 85% black city. And these people are not okay with that. These white people that ran away, live in the suburbs, the vast majority of them. The only one, I think, that lives in Jackson, in the top tier of the leadership out of those top three, Delbert Hosemann, I believe, lives in Jackson. But the other ones don't. And, it's a tough thing to swallow, but everything is about race in Mississippi. Every single thing. If you're talking about a topic, it's just phenomenal. And anyway, this governor, he was saying yesterday, he was trying to provide a little cover for the Republicans on this HB 1020 that we've been talking to you about, where they're going to create a new court system with appointees instead of elected officials, where they're going to expand the Capitol Complex Improvement District, and commensurately they're going to expand the jurisdiction of the Capitol Police, and then and they're going to take money. They're going to take away some of Jackson's city of Jackson normal allocations from the state that every city and municipality gets, but they're going to suck 18.758% of Jackson's normal allocations monthly to help pay for this expansion that disenfranchises the people of Jackson. So it's just a bizarre thing. Surely if it passes, it'll get kicked back by the courts. But if it wasn't for the courts in many cases, I mean the federal courts, and some of these major organizations that will sue immediately if something like this passes, we would be lost. I mean, think of those farmers in the Delta. 11 different white-owned farming operations in the Delta, some of the most fertile soil in the world, growing up there, black farmers doing the legwork. And then the white farming operations start using a visa program. I believe it was called an H-2 visa program, to fly in laborers, white laborers from South Africa. They're going to pay them more money, in some cases up to $4 an hour more, and then put the black man that's been doing the job for how long, put that man out of work. Now, we couldn't rely on the governor of Mississippi to intervene on something like that. We couldn't expect that the state senators and state representatives from the Mississippi Delta would have intervened on something like that. They just won't do it. Not one word of any of them people has said anything about this travesty. But it took the United States Department of Justice and Department of Labor to find out about it, and and they came down here and put the nix on it, and they got these men their jobs back, and they got back pay for these men, and they fined the living heck out of those farming operations, and they installed a new office in to monitor that, which they've never had that before. They have a new office where they're going to be in the Delta now. Before, the closest investigators were in Jackson, but now the closest investigators are right there in the Delta, so they can keep a better eye on these people that do these dastardly deeds. It seemed like businesses would want to be focused on the bottom line, but for these folks, there's other things that they're focused on, and it's not good things, and it's not Christian things. In this predominantly Christian state, they say the most church-attending state in the country, Mississippi. But you got all these dastard $100 million ripoff from poor families. 11 farming companies in the Delta, blatant disregard for their employees, fellow man, want to replace them, want to get them out of here, get white people in here doing the work for us. It just never ends. Torturing people over there in Rankin County, behind a drug bust that they got confused or mixed up, or I don't even know if they did that. I mean, it's just horrific things that happen. So anyway, the governor was providing cover for these guys to pass this HB 1020. He won't say if he will sign it into law or not when it if it passes both chambers. He said that individuals that are working on many of these bills that focus on the operation of the city of Jackson are well intentioned. He said the people that coming up with these bills are well intentioned. I think in many instances they're frustrated, he said. Then he goes on to say Jackson is the murder capital of the world. Well, he said, and that is not a title that we should be proud of. The thought of doing nothing should not be an option. So he thinks that nobody's doing anything to address the murders that happen here. Jackson is not the murder capital of the world. Tijuana is. So isn't Acapulco. So isn't Caracas, Venezuela. We're up there, no doubt about it. We're up there high, but what he said was just not the truth. And so we point that out here. But it's just a really sad ordeal to see to see him stand up and provide cover for these folks that they don't even live in Jackson and they're trying to take over. It's a taking. The Mississippi Link publishes articles about it on a very regular basis, and so forth. So we'll see what's going on. And as we begin to go back on time a little bit, I'll just do a quick reminder on a couple of these bills here. And the other one that I really wanted to mention is called House Bill 1168, and that all of them. So Jackson has a 1% sales tax, and it took a long time. It took years and years and years to get that, and it generally produces about $15 million a year for the city of Jackson to be able to do all sorts of different things, including, infrastructure, roads, bridges, water, et cetera, and many other things. You get emergency repairs that need to be done at Thalia Hall. You got the ballet competition coming in. They want to say they want to be able to need to have money to do those types of things, and so there was a commission that oversees the expenditure of those funds. But this law, HB 1168, what that does is it usurps the whole board, and says now that 100% of the Jackson 1% sales tax will be used on the water and sewer operations. So it's just, you get a piece of legislation passed, you get revenues from that legislation. You want to put that money to good use. You have a commission that presides over that. So it's not like the mayor, for example, is making the decision where all that money goes, but there's a commission that presides over it. If I'm not mistaken, it's a white person in charge of it, but even that is not good enough. So you have somebody from well outside the area, from 180 miles out of here, that decides, nope, you got water problems in Jackson, you're going to use 100% of that money on water, and because I said so. And they all go along with it. So it's just stifling the things that are going on here in the legislature and all. And it's so interesting because I had occasion last Monday night to speak to several of these out at Hal & Mal's, and I speak to them, and you know what the talking point is right now? These are all white Christian Republican legislators. You know what the talking point is? Well, it's my city too. It's my state capital. And it just and I say to them, I said, wow, that's the latest talking point. And they just kind of look at me like I'm a bad guy, And but I didn't see none of them here in the heart of our water crisis. I didn't see none of them people giving out water. I didn't see any of those people contacting constituents and asking them to donate water to Jackson. So it's just a bizarre thing. They say that this is their capital too, but they really don't show up when it's needed to be shown up. They'll show up out of the blue to give a white multi-million-dollar company $247 million in tax incentives, but they won't hold a special session of the legislature to address the water problems and try and be helpful. But instead, they try to engineer a takeover. So you see, that's because they don't have basic regard. They complain about the crime, and they want to throw policing, heavy-handed policing at the crime without looking at the underlying causes of crime. And by the most conservative estimate, 1/5 or 20% of Mississippi lives in poverty. Now, we all know in this area and up in the Delta, it's far, far more than that, probably closer to 40% in those areas. But they want, and the correlation by all the brainy people that study these things, the correlation between poverty and crime is inescapable. But they won't take a look at it. So, God bless them. We just got to push back as best we can. Hey, we're run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. Today is Friday. It's Friday. And hope you manage to have a good time out there and a good weekend this weekend. And we'll be back with you next Wednesday at noontime. Stay safe.